Joseph and Mary, they have a problem. The problem was that Mary was pregnant. Yet, her and Joseph had not yet been intimate. They had not yet, as we would say, come together. So the problem is that Mary is pregnant. Where this lands in our marriage is that from time to time, or maybe even all the time, problems arise in our marriage relationships. What do we do when what we see in our marriage doesn't make sense to us? Have you ever been there? I've been there. I've been married for 20 years. My wife and I have been together for 25 years. What do we do when what we see in our marriage doesn't make sense? Joseph and Mary, we have to understand here, they are side by side in their problem, but their feelings and their concerns are different. And we experience this as well, that sometimes we can be in the same situation, husband and wife, we're side by side, we're both perplexed, we're both confused, we're both are feeling the way we're feeling, but yet the way we handle it is different. Maybe their common ground that they see and that we see in them is that God alone could make sense of what didn't make sense. Same problem, same circumstance, different feelings being generated from it, stemming from it, and yet their solution was the same. They needed to hear from God. I don't think anybody would read this story, come to this narrative, look at Mary's reality and say, yeah, I don't know what she's so upset about. No, we get it, right? She had every right to be confused. She's pregnant and she's a virgin at the same time. And if there's ever a time that we need to hear from God, if there's any time that Mary needed to hear from God, this would be it. I'm just looking at Mary here. The important detail is that she is awake, which means Mary has the capacity, the ability to speak and dialogue with this angel, Gabriel, from the Lord. She has questions. She's perplexed. God speaks. He gives her this insight. He gives her this direction, but yet she still has questions. And perhaps we know something about that. We've prayed to the Lord. We've got a challenge in our marriage. Doesn't make sense what's going on. Don't know how to interpret it. Don't know what to make of it. We hear something. We experience something. God speaks to us, but we still have questions. See here how she moves from perplexed, from confused, to knowing what's going on. This is a Christmas story for your marriage. Here is a wife. Here is a woman who's in a situation she really can't make sense of until the Spirit speaks to her. And when God speaks, he allows her to have this dialogue. She asks her questions. He answers her questions. And when the Spirit of God speaks to her, she comes to a place of peace. She comes to a place of understanding. But in Matthew chapter 1, Joseph has questions too. He has questions, and maybe because I'm a husband, maybe because I'm a guy, I really connect with Joseph's situation, his questions. The Lord shows up in a dream. And perhaps you're hearing the distinction already. God shows up to Mary in a vision. She's awake. He shows up to Joseph in a dream. Joseph is asleep. He does not have the opportunity to ask and have his questions answered. He simply goes to sleep. An angel of the Lord visits him and tells him what he needs to know. God speaks to husbands and God speaks to wives. Here's the point. Mary had questions. She had this situation, this circumstance going on inside of her, that she found herself unexpectedly with child. And an angel, Gabriel of the Lord, speaks to her and gives her all the insight that no one else could. At the same time, Joseph had his questions too. How can this be? I don't understand what's going on. I can't make sense of what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling. An angel of the Lord shows up, speaks to Joseph, and tells him everything he needs to know. And here's the point. God is bilingual. We struggle sometimes to communicate with each other consistently. Our God knows the language. He knows the communication pattern of both men and women, of both husbands and of wives. So he's able to speak to Mary in the way that she needs to hear from the Lord. And in hearing from her, she gets a clarity on what she could not understand apart from the voice of God. At the same time, Joseph, hears from God in his own way, in a dream. God speaks to him, no questions, no dialogue. The angel Lord simply speaks to him. The man wakes up. He knows exactly what to do. And now they're able to move forward in peace because they both have heard from the Lord.